In life, we constantly navigate conversations that are emotionally charged, uncomfortable, or high stakes. Whether it's confronting a friend, negotiating with a partner, or handling feedback at work. Difficult Conversations by Douglas Stone, Bruce Patton, and Sheila Heen is a masterclass on how to handle such talks with clarity, empathy, and confidence. It teaches us that the real problem isn't the substance of the conversation. It's how we handle the emotional and identity dynamics underneath. This book, based on years of research at the Harvard Negotiation Project, explores the psychology behind difficult talks and provides a structured way to approach them. Introduction: Why Difficult Conversations Matter. The authors start by highlighting a hard truth. We avoid difficult conversations because they feel threatening, but avoiding them only compounds the issues. They argue that avoiding hard conversations leads to resentment, miscommunication, and broken relationships. The key message is that every difficult conversation is really three conversations in one: the what happened conversation, the feelings conversation, and the identity conversation. Mastering these three layers helps us navigate even the toughest dialogue with empathy and effectiveness. Chapter 1. Sort out the three conversations. Every difficult conversation has three layers. First is the what happened conversation, where we often argue about facts and blame. Then comes the feelings conversation, which is often unspoken but deeply influences how we act. Finally, the identity conversation speaks to our core, who we are, what we believe about ourselves, and how the conversation threatens that identity. Lesson: difficult conversations are not just about facts. They are about stories, emotions, and self-perception. To handle them well, we must deal with all three levels, not just argue about who's right. Chapter 2. Stop arguing about who's right. We naturally want to prove we're right and the other person is wrong. But difficult conversations are rarely about simple facts. They are about conflicting stories. The authors suggest replacing blame with curiosity, shifting from I'm right to what's their story. Lesson: focus on understanding, not judging. Assume the other person has a perspective that makes sense to them. Ask yourself, what am I missing? This opens up dialogue and reduces defensiveness. Chapter 3. Don't assume intentions. Clarify them. In arguments, we often assume bad intentions. He ignored me on purpose. But most people act from mixed motives. And misunderstanding intentions is one of the biggest barriers in communication. Instead of assuming, we should inquire, reflect, and express our own intent clearly. Lesson: don't treat assumptions as facts. Ask questions to clarify intentions and be honest about your own motivations. This builds mutual trust. Chapter 4. Disentangle impact from intent. Even when intentions are good, impact can still be harmful. For example, joking about a sensitive topic may seem harmless to one person, but offensive to another. The authors stress that intent doesn't erase impact and vice versa. Lesson: instead of defending your intent, acknowledge the impact. Say, I see that hurt you, and I didn't mean to. Let's talk about it. This opens space for healing rather than defensiveness. Chapter 5. Abandon blame, embrace contribution. Blame focuses on who's at fault. It's narrow, stuck in the past, and makes people defensive. Instead, shift to exploring, how did we each contribute to the problem? This mindset fosters collaboration and problem solving. Lesson: difficult conversations aren't courtroom trials. They're opportunities to understand mutual contribution and take shared responsibility. Chapter 6. Express your feelings. Most people suppress feelings in difficult conversations, afraid of looking weak or escalating conflict. But unspoken emotions leak out through tone, body language, and passive aggression. The authors recommend naming your feelings clearly but calmly, without blaming. Lesson: say how you feel, not in a dramatic way, but in an honest way. For example, I feel disappointed, instead of, you're selfish. Feelings humanize the conversation and make space for connection. Chapter 7. Ground your identity. At the core of every difficult conversation is the identity conversation. It asks, what does this say about me? Criticism often feels like a threat to our self-image. As competent, good, or lovable, the authors urge us to build a more nuanced identity that accepts imperfection. Lesson: learn to hold conflicting truths. I made a mistake and I'm still a good person. This grounded identity makes us less reactive and more open to feedback. Chapter 8. Learn to listen. even when you're angry. Listening deeply is hard, especially when we're upset, but it's essential. Listening is not agreeing. It's about understanding and acknowledging the other person's story. Ask open-ended questions, paraphrase what they say, and show genuine interest. Lesson: good listening diffuses defensiveness and helps the other person feel heard. That, in turn, makes them more willing to hear you. Chapter 9. Speak for yourself with clarity and power. Many people either sugarcoat or explode. The authors teach the skill of using the I message, not "you did this," but "here's how I see it, here's how I feel, and here's what I'm hoping for." This approach reduces blame and opens constructive dialogue. Lesson: be assertive without being aggressive. Speak from your own perspective, stay curious about theirs, and look for mutual understanding. Chapter 10. Problem solving, how to move forward. Once you've unpacked the three conversations, facts, feelings, and identity, you can shift to joint problem solving. Ask, what are we each hoping for? What would a good outcome look like? The goal is not to win, but to create a path forward together. Lesson: generate options collaboratively. Explore what matters most to each person, and look for creative solutions that honor both perspectives. Chapter 11. Putting it all together. The authors conclude by reinforcing the central message. Difficult conversations are not a sign of dysfunction. They're a sign of courage. When approached with openness, curiosity, and emotional honesty, these conversations can transform relationships, resolve long-standing issues, and lead to deep personal growth. Lesson: the skills are learnable. With practice, anyone can become more comfortable and competent in handling life's hardest conversations. Final thoughts. Difficult Conversations is not just a book, it's a tool for living better. It teaches us that the quality of our relationships, and often the quality of our lives, depends on how we navigate moments of discomfort. Avoiding hard conversations may feel easier, but facing them with skill is the true path to growth, peace, and connection. Whether you're resolving a conflict at work, healing a family rift, or speaking your truth in a relationship, this book arms you with the mindset and method to do it with grace and strength.